Hey guys, how you doing? So not to be dramatic or anything, but this might be one of the biggest disasters PaperGames has ever dealt with. On June 22nd, 2026, Love and Deepspace happily revealed its sixth love interest, Valko. Less than a week later though, he was gone. Deleted, erased, now considered lost media. The craziest part is that Valko wasn't actually the problem. Get comfortable because I have quite the story for you today. For those of you unfamiliar with Love and Deepspace, adding a sixth love interest is by no means a small update. At the time of recording, there are only 5 love interests in the entire game. To put it simply, this is about as big as when Gachagames add entirely new areas like Genshin's nations or Honkai's planets, something like that. When a new love interest joins Love and Deepspace, your chances of avoiding him are slim to none. He's added to future banners, merchandise, story content, and even if you never plan on pulling for him, you'll still end up getting his lower rarity cards over time. So chances are he'll still end up in your account eventually. Valko is a werewolf, I think. He's rich, tall, jacked. Basically, he checks the standard Love and Deepspace checklist. Immediately after the post was made, the main argument was one thing: he's ugly. A lot of people felt like he didn't fit the beauty standard of other love interests. Another pretty big argument was that he was, quote, too Western, which was a reason why a ton of people in the Chinese communities hated him, but I'll go more into that later. His name also literally means wolf, so people argued that there was little thought going into this character. But beneath the wars of his design, there was a much deeper reason for the disdain. Because the backlash didn't stop at, oh, he's chopped. No, because it's the lad's community, and things have to go from bad to worse. I stumbled across this legal document of someone threatening to sue PaperGames over Valko. There's no way a lawyer would take this seriously. They would get laughed out of the courtroom, but I digress. The reason I bring this up, however, is because of the actual reason of why they're mad at Valko's announcement. It's arguing that PaperGames announced a 6th love interest before fully finishing the stories of the existing 5, creating a serious crisis of trust between the developers and the player base. And that is the actual underlying issue. This isn't just saying, we hate Valko and we want him deleted now, albeit there were tons of people saying that as well. Underneath all the arguments about his design are years of unresolved frustration with the game itself. And trust me, we're only scratching the surface here. There are way too many issues with this game to try to fit them all in one video. But this complaint of not having fully fleshed out stories isn't actually a rare complaint to come by. Like I mentioned before, there are currently 5 love interests in the game. 3 came out alongside the game while Silas and Caleb came out shortly after, just like how Valko would have. One of the biggest complaints has to do with these 2, because despite being released in 2024 and 2025, their main stories still haven't gotten the attention that a lot of players have been waiting for. I don't want to get too far into this because this could be a whole video topic on its own, but for example, this is a tweet about Silas lacking content, and this tweet dates back to January 31st. Now you might be thinking this is January 31st of 2026, but you'd be dead wrong. This is from 2025. This is over a year old, and they were complaining about a lack of Silas content back then. And in case you were wondering, no, this was not resolved. For years, fans have been asking for roadmaps, story updates, or simply better communication. Instead, they had to blindly hope that things would change in the upcoming updates. Imagine you download Love and Deepspace back in 2024 because you thought Silas was super hot, but every single update, you barely get any new content or lore about this character. And this image basically sums up how the player base was before Valko was ever teased. While Valko was still in the womb, PaperGames was getting a lot of flack already because of just countless issues that people had with this game that were never addressed. And while all of this chaos was already occurring, they add a new character and he would need his own story and memories and events and banners and development time. For a lot of people, that was not exciting. It was frustrating. A 6th love interest just wasn't what the game needed right now. Having a new guy is cool and all, but there were way too many issues for the devs to shift their focus towards a 6th love interest. Players weren't actually concerned about why this guy's so chopped. It was, if 5 love interests already struggled to get consistent story updates, how is the game going to handle 6? Well, we got a response from the developer team, and it's a lot. Something that caught my eye was this paragraph here. The main story chapters you have been waiting for are currently in active development. The stories of Farspace Colonel Caleb and, I'm not pronouncing that, Leader Silas will continue, and the new series of Solar Slot Memories will also be arriving soon. The development team will continue to deliver richer game experiences and high-quality content on a consistent basis. And for those of you unfamiliar with the term of Solar Slot Memories, they're basically just limited cards that people can pull for. So they're saying Caleb and Silas are coming back, as well as extra content for players to pull for, which is good. This isn't a bad thing at all. Now, part of me immediately thought of this. How long have these chapters actually been in development? Silas has been in the game for nearly 2 years. Caleb has been waiting for a main story update for over 500 days. Players have been asking for story updates for even longer than that, so naturally, some are wondering why it's taken this long just to hear that they're only currently in development. And the other part of me is focused on, Colonel Caleb is coming back! What? Anyway, now if you thought this apology would calm people down, it didn't. Some people did feel bad for the developers, not really understanding why Valko's teaser started Armageddon, but most people couldn't give less of a rat's ass about this. The main critique I saw about this was that while the statement does talk about specifically Silas and Caleb's main story quest, it neglects to point out the other many issues people have with the current state of the game. I cannot emphasize this enough. The lack of story content for Caleb and Silas does not even begin to cover everything players have been upset about. For example, the Xavier banner. It was promoted to be one of the strongest DPS units in the game, but when he came out, he did actual pee-pee poo-poo tickle damage. And by the way, they allegedly got sued over this. I read over the whole document. There hasn't been so much of a peep out of the developers about this. I mean, people are still mad about this to this day. This came out like, I want to say 2 years ago now. So all of this isn't stemming just from, I want to see Caleb in his uniform. Which I do. No, it's 2 years of pent-up frustration and screaming into the void. The bottom line is this. Players didn't feel like they could trust PaperGames at this point. Most players were not asking for another love interest. At the very least, not right now. It was so sudden. And again, that major issue of how will this team handle 6 love interests if these 5 cannot get equal treatment? And that sense of distrust led to thousands of people just giving up on the game entirely. They were sick of it, to be honest. But things didn't stop at arguments alone. They were just as bad in the real world as they were online, if not worse. What better way to show your frustration than to take it straight to the source? The PaperGames office building. Protesters were sending chrysanthemums, which is, I believe, a type of flower, and it typically has to do with mourning or respecting the dead, but in this case, it was directly wishing death upon the company as a whole. Sorry, it's not funny. They also sent some cow dung to the mailboxes within the building. They ended up hiring some extra security around the building for a bit just to prevent these, I don't know, hooligans from getting in. Not to laugh at the situation. No one was seriously hurt in this, I don't believe. No reports of it, at least. But it's just so stupid. It was never this serious, you know? Like, what are we doing, guys? What are we doing? We're supposed to be better than this. Now, let me preface, it's hard to tell why exactly people were doing this. I believe this crowd of people actually just hated Valko specifically and didn't care about everything else. Like I briefly mentioned before, a ton of people in the CN communities just hated Valko's design because he was, quote, too Western, whatever that could mean. So this part might just be because they hate Valko, to be honest. It's also worth mentioning that this situation sparked some really bad arguments between the CN and global communities. There was fighting in every single corner of this fanbase, no matter where you looked. Then, on June 30th, Love and Deepspace posts one final statement. This time, they announced they're full-on deleting Valko. Not delaying him, not redesigning him. They are erasing him from the game entirely. We have decided to cancel both the launch and any further development of the new love interest. We also commit that no additional love interest will be introduced in the future content plans. Like, after spending so much money teasing this guy and promoting this guy to the moon and back, they just off him. They off-screen him. For tons of people, this apology completely missed the point. Valko was never the issue. Ironically, this created a brand new group of angry players. The people who were excited for Valko got him ripped out of their hands before they could even get a good feel of him. He's sort of like that movie trope where, you know, someone's husband dies at the beginning and now he's just like he haunts the narrative. Yeah, that's Valko now. Just when you think things can't get worse, PaperGames they really know how to take you by surprise. This post blew up so much that people outside of the Love and Deepspace fandom now know about the Valko incident. And this is exactly how it's been going for years. Fans are pretty transparent about what they actually want from the company. Yet somehow the company does something entirely out of left field. If this was meant to do anything other than piss people off more, it did not work in the slightest. There are more angry people, and the people who were angry before are now angry times 10. The game is still being boycotted, deleted, review bombed, etc. There's even more negativity now because of how many people were looking forward to Valko. Even amidst the chaos, they had found him interesting and wanted to get to know him. Tons of people are upset that Valko never got a fair chance. And it's true, even I can admit that he would have been a great addition to the game. But because of all of the issues that had nothing to do with him, he was off screen. But Valko already has a pretty dedicated fan base. They are doing everything they can to bring him back. They're starting petitions, they're spreading hashtags, they're not playing around about this man. As of today, July 1st, this is everything we know for absolute certainty. And I genuinely believe that if they had come out with that Caleb and Silas main story announcement before Valko's announcement, I think this never would have happened. Now, don't get me wrong, I still think, you know, he would have gotten hate because of his design. I mean, I even wasn't a big fan of him before I started this video. He's kind of grown on me because I've been editing this video, but I think at the worst, they would have just redesigned him and pushed his release back, rather than trying to completely scrap it and acting like it didn't happen. Whether Valko is gone forever, whether PaperGames changes course again, or if this controversy gets worse, which it honestly seems like it will, I will keep you all updated. I know it's been a ride. This is the complete saga of the Valko incident. Rest in peace, Valko. You're taken way too soon. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this was helpful, and I'll see you next time.